From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including Rockin' Out Bumblefoot, reading up on Shirky Poo's Newswire, and so much more. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. I want to say a big apology to all of you as we are starting a little late tonight due to the fact that we had some audio and technical problems. I haven't got any other websites fired up. Twitter doesn't even know we're live yet. But that's just the way it goes sometimes. We have these technical issues. I lost power on my microphone, and literally, I don't know what the heck happened. It happened when I was trying to get on to the Paranormal Chop Shop podcast. All of a sudden, my microphone was dead. I was getting weird sounds right before that, and poof, I disappeared. But nonetheless, the show must go on. This is what we do. This is what we live for.
Oh, no, Dave, you're muted.
Oh,
Something
no.
happened. There you go.
The show must go on.
The gnomes.
It's the gnomes.
Perfect. I got gnomes right here. I got gnomes in here, but that's okay. We're going to continue on. Now, what's going to happen here, we have Wayne and Michelle Braden. They've got a great podcast out of the state of Michigan, and we're going to rock it. I mean, look at that goatee. Wayne, you got to rub that goatee for us if you don't mind. Oh, that's nice. Very, very nice. Michelle, you better take care of that. You better take care of it. All right. But nonetheless, we're going to do things a little bit different, okay? Because we are going to, I'm just going to mute this down, and we're going to skip through the first break here, and because normally we're about 6 minutes behind here. But because of the audio issues, we're not going to take our first break until we get to the top of the hour. So we're going to introduce Wayne Braden, Michelle Braden. These two love the woo in Michigan, and we are going to make sure that it all happens up and kind of go from there. So thank you so much. Black Dragon, I saw your super chat earlier. Cat Chaser, thank you so much for your super chat. I really do appreciate that. I'm not sure if anybody else threw anything into the super chat. I cannot check it at this time, but we're going to make sure that... hold on. Sounds like the audio really clipped and your voice got really loud. Thanks, Chuck. Yeah, I will. I'll tone it down. All right. That's my audio guy. Now, Chuck is a guru when it comes to this. Absolute guru. You know, he's got a great mustache and goatee combination going on there, too. It's got that salt and pepper look that's, very nice. Very nice. All right, let's do this thing here, and let's learn about you guys. What brings you guys to the woo here, Wayne?
Well, back in 2018, my wife and I were traveling. We were actually leaving a late night bingo session where we were getting our bingo on with a bunch of the old people.
Them silver hairs are dangerous at the bingo hall.
Oh man, at 2:30 in the morning, if they haven't won some kind of money, forget it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, things get ugly.
Things get ugly. I mean, yeah. So anyways, we had left that bingo hall and we were heading home. It was a normal 2:30 in the morning kind of a night out for us, and heading back and hovering over the road as we got toward the expressway was a huge, giant, black floating triangle. I mean, right straight out of the UFO playbook, and the thing had to be about 300 feet per side. And each corner was a recessed globe that was a light, but yet it wasn't like a spotlight. It was emanating light, but not bright. You could tell it was some type of a globe. It almost looked like some type of an energy ball in each triangle in each corner, and it made zero sound. One of the things Michelle said to me when we were close enough to get a good visual of it was, what's your famous line?
When did our military get that?
Yeah. But this thing was huge. It had to be the size of like a Walmart or an IKEA store, and it was just floating there. And so Michelle and I are both educators, and outside of the passing, I guess you could say interest, not real interest, but pop culture of checking out UFOs on TV every once in a while, or this show or that show, it really didn't, the topic was not much to me or Michelle. And then we had this sighting, and I got this instant, because I'm a science teacher and I'm into aeronautics and earth science and astronomy. I immediately had this sense of fight or flight. And considering it was in March, it was cold, it was, no, there's nothing to fight. We're flying out of here. So we got on the expressway. And as we got on the expressway, the triangle was kind of, I know this is going to be weird to see, but if the triangle was facing toward us, like my index fingers were the point, it rotated. It did not bank. It was just sitting there, and it rotated to point south as we went south on the expressway, and then moved parallel with us. And I gunned my Jeep at the time, and we went down this sound abatement, and she's watching it. She had put down her window, and the thing made no sound whatsoever. And it moved parallel to us along the expressway. And then we went down a sound abatement where the expressway kind of dips down into a gully. And I was expecting to see it pop up right on the side of the Jeep next to Michelle. And it wasn't there. So that was a good thing. But we gunned it and got home a few minutes later. And we were like, well, what the hell was that thing?
Yeah,
and
obviously.
Man, I had all kinds of ideas going through my head because it was sitting there. It was, like I said, 300 feet on a side, maybe 30 feet thick or tall, however you want to describe that dimension. And it sat there and then rotated. And the skin on the outside of it, what I could see when I became closer to it, because you have to do what we call the Michigan U-turns to get onto the expressway where we were at. So which means we had to do like a 270-degree turn. And when I looked at it, the lights from the street lights were kind of reflecting off the bottom of it. And it looked like somebody taking heat or a flame and putting it on a piece of metal. And you know how you get the wavering effect on the different coloration on like sheet metal if you heat it up. The edges of this thing were almost like absorbing or almost deflecting the light off of it, but you could still see it. It was so black you could see it against the nighttime sky. And it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. So we got home the next day. We started a Facebook group, and we were like, let's see if anybody else saw anything that night. Well, we started getting people joining our group, and it still is a private group, but people started sharing us out really quickly, and we started getting all these stories coming in. And, there wasn't anybody that said they saw anything that night at that location at that time. It was 2:30 in the morning. However, people started talking about seeing the same kind of a craft or something a little bit different in other areas around like Ann Arbor, Jackson. And we started getting these emails and things in. Well, fast forward 2 years later, after collecting almost 5,000 members in this group now, sending us their stories and stuff, we said, maybe we should just start a podcast and have people come on and talk about this, and we can learn something as we, about this phenomenon. Man, it was, it's been a wild ride ever since. And,
so I see Skyhawk asking, did we get home when we expected to? There was no missing time. So we got home at the normal time. It's about a 20-minute drive from where we were at home, and still got home at normal time. So
yeah, and to that point, I would say that probably from everything I've learned so far about these things here in Michigan, these giant triangles that people have had experiences with them, I would say that probably if I would have slowed down or stopped, we might have had something like that happen at this point. We've had enough talks with people and emails from people and experiencers contact us. And it seems like if you don't run from these things, you will end up with missing time or being abducted or having strange things happen like that. So,
right.
Right. So that's kind of what happened, and it kind of, blew up into this podcast that we're doing. And, I'm a science guy. So, I teach high school earth and space science and astronomy. I've been doing this for a few years, and my degree is in earth science and geophysics. And I've been a pilot. I've flown different small general aviation planes. My dad's a retired airline pilot. And I'll tell you, I've never seen anything close to that or that size. And for it to just sit there, it did not obey any rules of aerodynamics.
Were there any lights on it?
I saw there were 3 on the bottom. They were like recessed glowing orbs. And Michelle saw...
I saw 2 rectangular red lights.
On what we would consider the back. So as it rotated and we went around to get on the expressway, she was able to see it rotate and then see the back of the thing, and it had the rectangular lights on the back.
Wow. Michelle, I'm going to pay you a very large compliment here. I cannot stop staring at you. And the big reason why is because if you reversed my mother about 40 years, you and her would be twins.
Wow.
Okay. And I'm kind of stunned right now. Because it's like looking at my mom like I was a little kid. So you are
Michigan weirdness.
You are beautiful, Michelle. Beautiful in so many ways. And my mom has been in hospital for almost a month now, battling some kidney issues. And so I've been trying to send her good energy. So like your hair, your eyes, your cheekbones, your nose, it is identical to my mom. It's actually kind of weirding me out right now, but in a very good way.
This is where you start taking like the snipping tool going, okay, I'm going to go ahead and send this to my mom now. Right. Look, Mom, I found you from 40 years ago.
Oh my God. I mean, it's, and I mean that in a very good way. So please take that as one of the highest compliments I can give. So, cause I love my mom dearly. And so, I'm just blown away, stunned right now. But let's continue on here. Okay, so you have your woo with UFOs. Wayne, you being a science guy, you're knowing that there's no way something like this should exist, or let alone be flying at this time. Had you guys been believers in the phenomena previous to this sighting?
I think there was the interest there. But it wasn't until we actually saw something for ourselves that the interest grew deeper, not just to, UFOs and the paranormal, but just conspiracy theories in general.
Yeah, and I never really thought about the UFO aspect before, but I have had before that happened, I had some paranormal encounters years earlier. And, I kind of believe that there's some kind of an afterlife, or there's something that goes on, whether it's energy of some type or whatever the case may be that lives on, because I've had these certain experiences. And speaking of mothers, it's, that reminds me of when my mother had passed away. She had died of lung cancer, and it was a 1.5 year battle. And, growing up with her smoking, I could, the smell of her cigarette smoke was very easy for me to pick out. Well, my ex-mother-in-law had a flower preserving business, and when the funeral was over, she took a bouquet of flowers and she dried the flowers. She pulled them apart. She painted them and then reassembled them and put them into a plastic, like a container, so you could display it. And when my ex-wife had brought this home to show me, we had set it on the counter and we were kind of staring at it sitting there. And I moved in to look closer and I could smell the cigarette smoke around that preserved bouquet of flowers. And I was taken back and I stepped back and the smell was gone. And I moved in close again and I could smell it again. This smell was kind of just radiating around in like a spherical shape around these flowers. And so I had my ex come over and like, hey, do you smell this? She's like, I don't smell. And she moved in and she's like, oh my God, that's your mother's cigarette smoke. How is that happening? And we kind of both looked at each other. We moved in again to smell, and then it was gone. And it was a non-smoking apartment complex that we lived in. And, that was kind of my first experience with I don't know, ghosts, the paranormal, the other realm. And I was pretty much like, okay, there's something going on there. But for UFOs, I had never seen one. I had been in the military. I've jumped out of airplanes. I've been around all kinds of aircraft. You name it. I've never, even the B-2 stealth bomber and things like that, I've never seen anything close to what that triangle was, or how I felt after I've seen it, and kind of the path that we've been on. It's, really changed our lives by doing something like this. And I heard that's kind of like what happens when you have these experiences, is that you kind of get on this path. So that's when we started the podcast, and we were like, hey, let's take people with us on this journey of discovery, of this, going down this rabbit hole and see what we can find out. And oh my God, it's, getting into this community has been awesome, and it's been enlightening and very scary. So it's kind of where we're at.
I very much hear you. I very much hear you with that. I mean, this is a phenomena that we just do not understand, and nor do we ever really get the time to figure it out, because when you have an experience, no matter how big or how small it is, it really sends you down a rabbit hole that it consumes you. And the people around you, I'm sure you notice as well, do not understand anything regarding the fact that this is consuming. It eats up your every minute. Like, I used to be a diehard sports fan. There wasn't a day where I didn't have sports on in my house. And if there was no games that I was watching, I got the highlights on. That's just the way we lived. And now, I can't tell you the last time I watched a hockey game full, like 60 minutes, or an NFL game, or a baseball game. It just, like, there's time for some things that are a little bit more pressing. Did you guys notice that with your own schedule as well?
Well, like Wayne said, we're educators. So, my daily routine is I'm up at 4:30 in the morning, having a cup of coffee and doing grades, teach all day, come home. I have my own teenager, and if I'm not running around with marching band or winter guard stuff, it's never ending.
Yeah.
There's not enough time in a day. The old cliche.
Yeah, it's our profession. People sometimes roll their eyes when you're a teacher and you get your quote unquote summers off. Well, I can tell you that those summers off are payback for all the overtime we don't get when we put in 60 to 70 hours a week of lesson planning and grading and all of that stuff. So it is a massive juggling act to try to teach and be with people that are educators and educated. And then, they're looking at you like, what do you mean you do a podcast about UFOs and paranormal stuff?
I was going to ask you about
Yeah.
that. I mean, being educators, both of you, what do your fellow educators think about you guys delving into the woo?
Well, I have a couple that are loyal listeners to the podcast. They're part of the Facebook group. And then when I've said things before to my administrator, like I'll be pumped up and excited about someone that we're going to interview. And he'll, have me remind him again what the name of our podcast is. And then I get the pause. And he doesn't need to say anything else past that. It's just the moment of silence.
Yeah.
Has it ever come to a point for either of you in your classroom? Like, do you discuss this weirdness with your students?
I have students who listen to the podcast.
Okay, so thank you. But my follow-up question to that is, has it ever caused you guys any troubles with parents or your fellow educators regarding this? Because there are so many people who are very sensitive to these topics.
No, actually, I think it was during open house. Some of my former students had brought up in front of parents what I was doing on the side and had a podcast. And I had parents actually coming up for the name of the podcast in the group.
Nice.
So there was an interest around the community where I teach.
Yeah.
So,
and for me, it's kind of a mixed bag. Being in high school, and I've noticed this younger versus older kind of an educator. The younger educators seem to be a little bit more open-minded to the idea of the UFOs, paranormal, the woo. The older educators that have kind of like myself that came up through living through the 70s, the 80s, into the 90s, and constantly seeing the belittlement and the demonizing of people who have said that they've had these experiences, which, upsets me very much. It's one of the reasons why we wanted to do the Facebook group. We wanted to have a place where people could come in and tell their story and not instantly be jumped on and debunked and your story is garbage and you guys are
way too much of that
really
right now.
Bothers me.
Way too much of that right now going through the community.
Yeah. And it seems like it's almost like a large company out there. Maybe they're working for the government. I don't know. I'm not going to throw those conspiracies out there. These are like active disinformation artists out there trying to disprove everything. Well, for me, it was like, some of the older educators that I work with kind of raise the eyebrow and giggle and, they'll, have you seen any little green men lately and this kind of stuff? And who knows where that even started from. But these are these myths that have been propagated throughout the years and through the media. And, every time that there was a UFO sighting on some news channel, it was the X-Files music was going to play in the background, and the anchors are going to look at each other out the corner of their eyes with the little smirk, and go, well, people said they saw something, so they've been putting this in the consciousness of people for 70 years. And to me, there's no end to that. And so if you got the younger people, they seem to be a little bit more resistant to it, all the way to the fact where I had a teacher run into my room today and sit next to me on the floor while I'm at my desk, telling me about a UFO he saw last night. And he was still manic. He was very excited and telling me about this orb that he saw over his car, going through the air, changing colors, stopped, and then continued and disappeared while he was on the expressway. And he's like, I'm a devout Muslim, and we believe that if we see something like this, then we were meant to see it, that there's something going on. So I asked him to type up his everything that happened, what he remembers, and send it to me, and it would be something we would talk about on our next show. So I'm hoping to hear from him then. But that was the first time it's ever happened, and he's a younger guy. So I
Love
think
it.
there's an age thing and there's a media thing that's been implanted in people's heads. And for me, when we had our experience, any of that mental conditioning that's happened went right out the window. It's like, it's real. Oh my God, it's real. It's right here. It's floating above Canton, Michigan at the intersection of 275 and Ford Road. People are driving like they don't even see it, and we see it. And this is real. And so that's
Yeah, I don't know. I've got my
reaction.
fellow peeps at work. I've got my one girl who's like, I love Bigfoot. So she gets all excited if I say anything about cryptids. And then I've got, my occasional girl who will walk by and go, I believe too. And then just keep walking.
Yeah, I have some students that will come up to me and go,
Yeah.
I'll be wearing, one of my shirts, and they'll go, nice shirt. It's real.
Well, I now have a student who is telling me that he's seeing ghosts. So, and felt that he needed to come let me know that he was seeing spirits.
Hey, Big Willie. Thanks, bro.
I think it's great. And I will tell you why. And you guys have an opportunity here to educate that these subjects, whatever it is, may be real. Instead of having enclosed minds, which we see a lot through the educational and scientific systems throughout North America and the world when it comes to this, because as we get older, we become more obtuse to topics like this. I think that's a fair statement. And for you guys, walking around in your UFO t-shirts and in front of your students and being open to having those conversations, I think it opens up a realm of new doors for you guys to get the message out, saying, hey, we're trying to figure out these mysteries as well, because for so long this has been such a closeted phenomena in anything paranormal, using the word paranormal as an umbrella term. So, I mean, you guys, do you feel lucky you're able to get that message out in a much different way than what other people are?
Yeah, unfortunately, we still have to, if we do talk about it, it is in such a small scale because of set curriculum that we have. And then you just never know when you're going to run up against just that one parent that could just ruin your life. So that's the only thing. Now, I mean, as far as, things like Bigfoot and
Like cryptids and
the
ghosts
cryptids
and
and anything paranormal, I figure a lot of times if it can fit into anything that we're reading, at least the reference is there. That I can fall back on too, as far as what we've been investigating and doing research on as well.
Yeah, and for me, I'm in kind of a very fortunate position as a science teacher, and one of my sections of science that I do teach is astronomy. And I, try to break down the concepts of, how big our galaxy is, how big our universe is, and, explaining to high schoolers, that if you take your thumbnail, about 1 centimeter square, and you make a bunch of 1 centimeter squares in the nighttime sky, and you zoom in on that 1 centimeter square, the Hubble telescope discovered that what you're seeing is about 10,000 galaxies in that 1 centimeter cube throughout the whole night sky as you divide it up. So if there's that many stars or galaxies out there with billions of stars within those galaxies, how can anybody say that there's not other life out there? Well, we don't have evidence of it, but what is evidence? In where, how would you get that evidence? I think it's probably safe to say that there is other life forms out there. Now, are they here? I don't know what they are that's here. We can speculate all day, but can they have some type of advanced technology that allows them to warp space-time and travel long distances in a blink of an eye? I mean, why not? We're, as a species, we're a couple million years old as humans running around on this planet, but the universe is 15 billion years old. There's probably been civilizations that have come up and crash down in that time over and over. So, you let your mind run wild.
You being a scientist, how often do you throw in the UFO phenomena in astronomy? I mean, considering, there's something like 9,000 exoplanets that we've found so far that are in the Goldilocks zone.
Right. Well, I just, when I touch on these subjects, a lot of the times what I'll do is I'll slip in videos about, I'll have the kids watch a little documentary on alien life, that might have been on TV at some point, or, what would alien life look like on these exoplanets? And then, have them speculate and come up with ideas in things, because we have found so many of these planets. And as our technology gets better and better, as our tools get better, we're probably going to find more and more. So, I sneak some things in and have conversations with the kids, and it becomes very interesting.
So for you guys, as educators and now looking into the woo world of everything, what's your favorite topic, Michelle?
My favorite what?
Topic.
My favorite topic?
Yes.
Out of the woo.
Oh. What, to talk to my kids about, or just out of
In general. What do you like? Bigfoot, Dogman, the ghosts, the UFOs, the aliens?
I love ghost stories. I love specifically urban legends. So that has always been, kind of like my thing since I was a kid.
Have you ever heard of Swamp Dweller?
No.
Okay. I go to bed each and every night. He's ended up becoming a really good friend of this show. And I go to bed every night falling asleep to Swamp Dweller. All he does is, you can find him on YouTube. He's got hundreds of videos where people have literally written in their encounters, and then he reads them off as a creepypasta. And,
okay.
And literally, it freaks the daylights out of me sometimes with what these stories that people have come in. I really suggest you try them out. Like, you'll be like dumbfounded. You'll be like, where has this been my entire life?
Well, Michelle's got another hidden passion, and something that she teaches is mythology. So she likes that aspect of things too. So.
Wow.
I love talking about literature and mythology. So I've been teaching a long time. So Swamp Dweller, I've got to write this down.
Yeah, I'll keep reminding you. Don't worry. He's
okay.
good. He's a good friend of ours here. And how about for you, Wayne? What's your favorite topic?
Right now, I gotta say it is UFOs for sure, because I'm so curious about these things. I want to know how they work. I want to tear them apart. I want to get inside one. I want to see how this huge 300-foot triangle is able to defy gravity. I want to know how these things work. So that's probably my number one thing is figuring out what is going on. And I would say probably my second thing, there's two that are that are tied for me. One is since I'm an earth scientist, a geoscientist, I'm very much interested in what's called the younger driest impact theory, where the theory that our ice sheets were rapidly melted and not the slow process of melting, and because we were hit by a broken up fragments of a comet that struck the North American ice sheet, which brought the ice age to a quick and sudden end. And we see the writings of this in all kinds of different mythologies about the Great Flood, religious or otherwise. And there's over 150 plus stories of the Great Flood. And then I also think that there was a society or a high technology that existed that humans had in place to create things like the Sphinx, the monuments of like Machu Picchu and the pyramids. I think those are all much older than what normal history. So I'm kind of like into that alternative history. And the thing is that people are out there actually collecting this evidence of, core drills in granite that's hard as can be, but there's these beautiful core drills and these holes left in these rocks littering all around the Giza Plateau. Just the structures, the megalithic structures that were created by people who supposedly only had the copper chisels, kind of a thing.
I was waiting for the copper chisel joke.
So there's that. And then I'm also now getting into this whole numerology and occult symbolism and things. So it's been leading down this rabbit hole of, and as a matter of fact, we just had a guest on before we joined your show and recorded our next episode. And we had Robert W. Sullivan IV talking about occult symbolism in cinema, which was...
he's incredible, isn't he?
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
It was insane, I guess is the best word I could come up with. He's a 32nd degree Mason. He knows so much. I felt like I was sitting in a college lecture for my master's degree.
And he's like right around our age.
Yeah. Yeah. So, he's a Gen Xer and the stuff that he knows, it's crazy. So, yeah. So because here's the thing about the whole Younger Dryas impact theory and the ending of the last ice age. I never believed it when my professors were telling me that humans in loincloths and with spears wiped out all of the giant megafauna, which is any kind of a creature that was over 100 pounds that roamed this planet. And there was 180 species of large megafauna, saber-toothed tigers, mastodons, mammoths, all of these things that were just wiped out. And they always seem to blame it on humans running around doing this. Now, I think humans were probably more of the snack for these creatures than us hunting them. In our loincloths, we were probably as much prey as we were predator. And so it never sat well with me that, a few thousand humans running around North America could wipe out things like the short-faced bear that was 12 feet tall at the shoulder, or mastodons, or all of these things.
Saber-toothed tigers.
Yeah, absolutely. That evolved with their teeth to actually, take out humans. I mean, that their teeth were set up to go down, into the collarbones, between the collarbones and the trapezius muscles, and grab you and pull you back. That's crazy stuff. Yet we hunted them all, and we killed them all for some reason. And I never believed that. There's just no evidence to support that, other than you find a few bones that have knife, very primitive knife marks in the bones, but those are actually few and far between when you look at the number of bones and the number of species, not creatures, but species that roamed this planet that were just gone.
I'm going to get you guys to hold on right there. We are going to go to break here at the top of the hour, get things back to normal here. Wayne and Michelle Braden are here. We're talking Michigan Woo all night long here. Yep, we got a good show planned for tonight. We got them for another hour and a half here on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to make this good. We're going to make it up. We're going to get into what's happening in Michigan. Why is it so damn weird over there? We'll find out. It's not just hockey pucks in the Northern Peninsula. Dogman, moving trees, everything on Spaced Out Radio. All right, we're clear. That's good stuff. Good stuff. All right, let me just, if you see me, hear my keyboard, I usually, before the show, I try and say hello to everybody who comes in. And so now, all of a sudden, now that I'm kind of calmed down and getting into my Zen zone, I'm like, okay, I got to say hi to everybody. Got to say hi. Joshua Casey, nice to see you. And little Deborah's back, everyone. Little Deborah, we got 6 minutes, so it's okay. Yeah. Oh, why don't I turn your mic up, son of a gun? All right. Who else do we have here? We have, let's see here. I'll just mute them there. Eris Manna, how are you? All right. Once again, spaced out. All right. Bear with me. I never had my pre-show bathroom break. Hey, Carfunibre, what's happening? The gorgeous and talented Sonia's News. Nicole Perron, if she's in Canada or in the Americas. Nicole Perron, how are you? The gorgeous and talented Nicole. There she is. Thank you, Lost in the Dark. Guys, I'll be right back. Give me like 1 minute here. I'm back. I'm back. All right. Oh, then you are Nicole Perron. There you go. Lovely Lauren, what's happening? Everybody's proud because they can hear your cats.
Oh. Yeah, we got 3 cats here, and some of them like to think they're still back in the Ice Age, yelling and screaming at each other.
All right. Hi, Acreon. How are you? I will get you a link to the show here. Bear with me.
I see somebody said that they are freaking out because they saw the same thing we did about 9 years ago. And see, that's the stuff we've been running into with this.
Mm-hmm.
Who was it? Nicola. I'm freaking out now. What you guys saw, I saw 9 years ago in upstate New York with my telescope. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Careful of Nicola. He's a weirdo. Weirdo. Seeing all kinds of weird stuff going on.
But is he Chad Smith?
Oh,
that's the question.
If you can be one part Chad Smith, you've made it. You've made it in life. I'm only an 1/8 Chad Smith right now. But sometimes I lie and say I am Chad Smith.
Well, I don't know, man. Sonny with that Halloween costume as you.
Wasn't that impressive?
That elevates Sonny up into that Chad Smith level.
Oh, yeah. Yes. So you are Nicole Perron. There you go. Are you related to hockey player David Perron? Canucks should have drafted him over Patrick White, who never played a game in the NHL. And Perron wanted to come to Vancouver, too. Pissed me off. I remember watching him at the Memorial Cup. Great player. Oh,
we are Chad Smith.
Chad Smith says, I'm Wayne Braden. Look at that.
Chad Smith. I am Wayne Braden.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't mess with Chad Smith, otherwise he starts, imitating.
Yeah.
Hi, Nikki. Hi, gorgeous Cosmic Floor. How are you? Kurt Seltzer with a splash of lime.
They were hearing the cats in the background.
Oh, I bet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that when Sonny dressed up like me,
Oh,
like me, that was one of the greatest moments of my life.
that was amazing. That was
One of the
amazing.
greatest moments of my life.
Very impressive. See, and that's what I like about this community. I mean, we just kind of fell into this and had Big Willie come on the show when he joined our group, and
Yeah.
and then he came on as a guest with his brother Micah, and it just spiraled. I followed him to UFO Garage, found Ben and Joe, found you, and it's like this keeps going and going and going, and it's just been an amazing journey, meeting a bunch of amazing people, and it's awesome. Chad, I'm Michelle Braden on the weekends.
Wow. I'm going to leave that up. Hold on, guys. Thank you to Black Dragon, Cat Chaser, Todd, Willie, and Skyhawk for the amazing super chats. Really do appreciate the love and support. It's a great way to support what we do on the show. Check out our store on our website as well. Here comes Bumblefoot. Let's do it.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here we go with hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are, this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, Gallophobia. Gallophobia is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading up on Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with Wayne and Michelle Braden. We're talking the weird stuff of the state of Michigan. They're covering it all. Dogman, UFOs, Bigfoot, aliens, the weirdness of the Great Lakes. They got it all. Michelle, Wayne, welcome back.
Hey, thanks. Glad to be here.
And welcoming the cats, too, because our boy Ash wants to be on the show.
Oh, that's fine. We allow cats around. Cats and dogs are allowed on this show. We do allow that. I don't know if you guys have ever checked out John Tenney, but one of the weird things, and he lives in the Upper Peninsula area, and one of the really cool phenomena that he is checking out in the state of Michigan, and apparently it's happening right around the world, is moving trees. So if you take a trail camera and you set it up on video, not on picture, but on video, apparently every now and again you'll see a tree move or disappear, and then a few seconds later it's back. Have you ever heard of this phenomena?
No, not at all.
Oh, you got to check that one out.
Yeah, okay. Well, we're adding it to the list.
Absolutely.
Because one thing that we have found is that Michigan is a hotbed for activity. I mean, now we have this whole Michigan Triangle thing that people have been talking about for a while, and now they have found this Michigan Stonehenge, or what they're calling the North American Stonehenge, which is in Lake Michigan, in a shallow part of Lake Michigan, which they will not disclose the location of that. And stories about the Northville tunnels. Absolutely.
What do you got for us? Explain to us first what the Northville tunnels are.
Well, Northville was the home of a psychiatric hospital. And it was a very big campus.
It was right on 7 Mile.
Yeah, so on a street here, 7 Mile. And it had been shut down for a long time. And, back in the day, it was, when you wanted to be adventurous, you would sneak into, and I don't want to say illegally, But, you might have found your way on the grounds, and on those grounds, you could access these tunnels. And holy smokes, the stories that happened there, we were down in the tunnels. It was me and some of my bandmates back in the 90s. We went down there and couldn't see anything. We didn't have any lights. We were just being stupid in these tunnels. And I had a lighter and trying to light the tunnel, and I could see a black figure down the tunnel. And I thought it was security, and they turned and they were coming down and chasing us. And we prepared ourselves like we were going to get run over, and it was just a shadow figure, and it disappeared and just kind of went right through us. Oh. And we left at that point. That's my story about the Northville tunnels.
See, in the tunnels for me, it was the tunnels of Eloise, because you actually used to have access to them through one of the parks off of Vinoy Road. Now they've sealed them all up now. Now that Eloise has become a haunted house attraction, and the tours that they've got there. So, but that was a big thing back in high school, was trying to get into the tunnels to see if, the grates were open enough that you could squeeze through and get in there. So got into the tunnels a couple times for Eloise, because I was within walking distance from where I lived. So same kind of thing. It just very, very eerie. And considering, that was one of the main pathways where they transported patients at the time.
Yeah, especially when they had died. So one of the last places they went was through those tunnels.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
What kind of ghosts are they hearing or seeing there?
My experience and what I've been told, and like I said, it's more like shadow figures, these shadow people moving around. Now, we did have a story come to us about somebody actually on the grounds of one of these places. I can't remember if it was the Lost in the Dark guys were on our show, and they were talking about having somebody come up and talk to them. And I think it was Burton. He was talking about his uncle was there, and they were filming and had somebody walk up to him and talk to him, ask him what they were doing and, all this stuff. And he was like, okay, well, have a nice day. They went back and watched the film, and the guy was not on the film because they were filming with like a handheld camera. And so they were having this conversation. There was nobody there on the camera.
I thought that was Eloise.
Yeah, I think that was Eloise. So here they are talking, and there's nobody there, but they say there's somebody there, live when they were there. So
well, and they've kept the main building. They tore down a lot of the smaller buildings around Eloise, but they've commercialized it now with a haunted house and paid tours. So, it's not like what do I want to say? I don't want to say the old days, but it's not like the old days when, it was more of a struggle to sneak in there to see what you could experience. And from what I've heard from people who were able to get into the main building, that there was still a ton of activity going on within Eloise. So
yeah, it seems now that not only are people finding a way to exploit experiencers and this kind of stuff, now they're actually doing it with ghost and paranormal by putting haunted houses in a haunted location. So make of that what you will.
Yeah, imagine what you have get attached to you and bring it home with you.
Josh wants to know if you've ever ran into some peaceful shadow people.
Well, nothing's ever happened other than, the one charging us down. And like I said, when I saw that thing coming at us, me and my singer of the band at the time, we kind of braced ourselves, preparing to get, tackled or whatever, because we just couldn't believe. But there was really no sound. It was really strange. So we just like, oh man, here. And we were not on drugs or anything, even though we were in a band and playing heavy metal. We were not drug users. And, And here comes the shadow figure, and it just dissipated as it just ran right into us. And the temperature dropped a little bit. It was misty. I would say like being hit with a bottle, like somebody had a spray bottle filled with like cool water, like a Windex bottle, and squirted it at you. It was bizarre. We left right after that. So
probably the weirdest shadow person experience I ever had was I was coming home from work one day, and it was in the fall, and I had to drive probably 35 miles home. I lived out of town from where I worked. So here I am, it's dark out, and I'm passing under this overpass, and I could see this car ahead of me didn't have its lights on. And so I'm trying to catch up so I could, tell the guy, hey, like, turn your lights on. It was just him and me on the freeway, right? And there's this big bend, and then it comes up a little hill, not too much of a hill, just a slight upgrade, where it then goes over across a bridge, which crosses what we call the Vetter River, or the Vetter Canal. And then you go down the other side. So this guy all of a sudden just guns it, and no lights on. And I watch him come around this corner, so I start speeding up. I watch him go above the bridge, onto the bridge, and there's no other traffic there. And as I come onto the bridge, I could see the end of the bridge, and then it comes into this big, long, half a mile type of turn, on the freeway, and he is gone. The car disappeared. I'd never seen a ghost car before, outside of a police ghost car, but that one tripped me out. That one really tripped me out. So that would trip me up too. That's
yeah. Well, I've heard of ghost ships. I mean, that's been kind of a thing for a long time. Why not ghost cars? Might as well. Especially if there was an accident and somebody died in their vehicle on that road at some point. That energy's hanging around for whatever reason. I don't know.
Do you guys also find that the Great Lakes are so understudied when it comes to the paranormal?
Absolutely.
I mean, there is so much from UFOs allegedly shooting down planes. I mean, to obviously, the Edmund Fitzgerald and the Wicked Witch of November, Gitchagumi there. I mean, to rogue waves and sea monsters have been seen there. I mean, there is so much going on in the Great Lakes areas there that I am really, really surprised that they really haven't, that any investigator really hasn't taken off and just created this giant series of the high strangeness there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of this happened, and to one of your listeners' comments here about the historical aspects of the UFOs and paranormal here in Michigan. In 1966, when the Great Swamp Gas incident happened, where Project Blue Book came here and denied all kinds of people's stories about UFOs, even the photographs of it, the police officers who said that they knew what they saw, and this UFO flap that was going on for about 3 weeks here between Ann Arbor, Dexter, the Hillsdale area, and the horrible treatment of people by the media that seemed to be on board with Project Blue Book and Dr. Hynek. And I think ever since then, because I was born in 1970, so I grew up, I never heard of any of this until last year when we started this, February of this year when we started this podcast, and I started researching some things. And here's all of this information, all these newspapers that I found at the Ann Arbor Public Library about this UFO sighting that started on the Manor Farm in 1966. And here comes Project Blue Book. Former President Gerald Ford was involved because they wanted answers as to what all these people were seeing. All these co-eds were seeing this. Hynek comes in, and after not investigating anything, says it was swamp gas. Later, he comes out in his book and says that their main job in Project Blue Book was to come up with explanations to to dismiss or explain away the unexplainable. And that's what they did. And people here just went into like shutdown mode, and nothing was ever talked about again about those things. And I mean, they had the press club and all kinds of people involved in that. And he, said, well, it was just swamp gas. Okay, so 80 some co-eds at Hillsdale with their dorm leaders watching these quote unquote swamp gas balls for 4 or 5 hours dancing around in their binoculars. It was just swamp gas. And there's been an author, Ray Szymanski, who wrote books, and we've had him on the show. And wow, just what really happened. I mean, Selfridge Air National Guard Base sent 2 fighter jets, and the head of that attack flight that went to go chase down the UFOs, because they were picking them up on radar. They went to go chase them down, and he has made a sworn statement now at this point, and it's on video that Ray has, that he says exactly what it was that they saw. And he's the commander of an elite, fighter jet unit that was an inter squadron out of Michigan here. And he knows exactly what it was that they saw and what they were chasing down, and they couldn't do anything about it.
Dragon ZW, a brand new listener to this show live, thank you, Dragon, for joining us, is asking, do you guys have any accounts or have you heard any stories about the Men in Black trying to intercept stories or people?
I have not heard of anything like that because, and maybe that's going to change, because everything has been, like I was saying, since this 1966 incident, and this is just my speculation, but since everything was shut down in this state about anything paranormal, there hasn't been any need for them to come and show up and harass people or threaten people. So no, I haven't heard anything about that. Now, Dogman and possibly Bigfoot and stuff in upper state Michigan, that's a different story if you want to talk about those.
Well, I'm saving Dogman and Bigfoot for the next half hour because, I mean, we're racing on through here on it. But, Michelle, we haven't heard from you in a while. Do you have a favorite story out of Michigan that you've been told over the years?
Mine was around where I grew up in the Wayne Canton area, and it was the Denton Road off of Michigan Avenue. And it used to be an old, dirt road where it was the story of the Blue Lady, where if you drove down onto the second bridge at a certain time of night, that a car would stall, or you would hear it. If you stopped on the bridge, you would hear a baby crying or a woman screaming. Potentially there could have been lights that came down and, hit the top of your car. So as high schoolers back then, we used to actually go driving down there all the time at that to see if we could get our cars to stall or see or hear anything. So I see Chad's comment about Denton Road. Denton Road now is completely night and day. Now it's paved and, they've built houses all around there. But allegedly there was a murder that took place down on Denton Road. And it's the story behind that. So that's what I grew up with, that and Eloise. It really wasn't until the incident that Wayne and I had on March 9th of 2018 that I really just started digging and looking more into the paranormal and UFOs and such.
All right, Alien Critter has a question for you guys. What type of UFOs are most commonly reported in Michigan?
The triangle from the stories that we've encountered from our members of the group, and then also from folks that we have, been lucky enough to have on the show and interview
that were experiencers with those triangles as well. Yeah, it seems to be triangles, and the triangles there are reports of orbs and things like that. The orbs seem to be very benign. They go about their business, but the triangles, especially whatever it is, here in Michigan around the month of March, UFO activity and the triangles seem to pick up. And every person that we've talked to and interviewed, like our experience was March 18th of 2018. And then one experiencer that we interviewed, it was March 9th of 1994. And it seems the whole UFO flap in Ann Arbor, Dexter area in 1966 was throughout March, like the last 3 weeks of March, a little bit into April. So it seems like March has some type of a bearing of when these triangles seem to appear, and most people do not have very good encounters with these things. They're either getting some type of messages to, get away, go away, get out of here, you're not supposed to be here kind of a thing. Or some people have been abducted. So I would say that the triangles seem right now anyways to be the most commonly reported here in Michigan.
You know what's funny? In British Columbia here, if you go to the lower mainland, which is where Vancouver is, it's all about triangles. And you come up where I am, it's all about orbs and rods and actual, saucer-type craft. It is very different. It's amazing how certain sections can have certain craft. Rarely is a triangle ever seen here.
Yeah, and Dave, you bring this up, and you're in British Columbia. We were told one of the first guests we've had on our show, actress and comedian Johanna James, who's very much into ancient technologies, and while she's doing her acting and comedy stuff, but she goes to Egypt and she collects evidence on her YouTube channel, and she seems to think, and we heard this from other people as well, that UFOs are more of a U.S. type of a thing, and I tend to disagree with that. Where are you at with that? I mean,
I disagree. I disagree with that. I think the big reason why UFOs tend to be a U.S. thing is because of the fact that the media is in the U.S. U.S. media loves sensationalism. The government loves sensationalism. Plus, you never know what kind of toys the U.S. government has and whatever it's hiding. So I think it's something that is very wrong speculation, and I don't mean to be rude when I say that. So please excuse me with that. But there is the phenomena, that is happening on a nightly basis around here. There are areas here where you can go up in the sky and just stare, and you are going to see it. And if you are smart enough and you stare at the sky enough, you learn the patterns of the satellites. You know what's flying above you. You know that anything 2 hours plus after sunset, you know that the sun isn't reflecting off the satellites that are flying over. All right, and then you just wait to see what happens. You really do. I mean, it's phenomenal. It really is.
Now, would you say that the rods you're describing, would you put that in the Tic Tac category?
No.
Okay.
No, it's like cigar shaped.
Oh, okay. So large, very large craft. Wow.
Very much so. Michelle, Wayne, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour here. Michelle and Wayne Braden. We're talking weird Michigan tonight, all night long. When we come back, Dogman and Bigfoot. Let's get into it. I'm going searching for Sasquatch tomorrow night where I am. So you got to come play along as we get into the cryptid world next on Spaced Out Radio. Let's do this thing, people. We're having a good time tonight. Appreciate each and every one of you being here. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. All right, we're clear.
All right.
This will be our next question. And
lake monsters.
Ooh. Ooh, these lakes are so big. We call them inner seas. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
they're so big and deep. It's especially Superior is ridiculous. And the weather patterns, they change weather patterns here. They're so large.
Well,
So-
you figure the closest one that we're to is Lake Erie. In Lake Erie, they've got the, not far from there, right in Ohio on Route 2. It's the nuclear power plants.
Yeah.
So there's been
Fermi.
sightings. Fermi.
The Fermi plants.
There's been sightings around there.
Yep.
All right. I'll be right back.
No problem.
All right.
No problem. It's a lot of fun. I apologize for the technical issues right at the beginning there.
Michigan weirdness strikes, man. It can even reach over into British Columbia.
You never know. You always have weird shit happen every now and again.
Yeah, yeah.
The beard is fantastic, by the way.
Oh, thanks. It's the only way I can grow a beard. So.
I'm going to bring you guys back in December, if you don't mind. Is there is there any way you guys could do a weeknight?
A weeknight in December? If we're on Christmas break, yeah.
When do you go to Christmas break?
Let me check here. Let me look around. Let's see. Christmas is on a Saturday this year.
Yeah.
So my guess is we will be off from the 27th probably through January 7th. So December 27th through January 7th,
All right.
somewhere in there.
So
I don't know what our Christmas plans are, but we can make things happen.
All right. So I'm going to book. What I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be doing a UFO podcast roundtable of the year that was.
Awesome.
In the news and everything, and I think having you guys there would be great.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so I will book that here.
Yeah, I see Chad Smith talking about supporting our YouTube channel. That's something that we just recently got started. I just use it as a repository for our podcast. But, if we can actually get people to subscribe to our YouTube channel, then we can change the name so that, the link will be something cool like, YouTube/Spaced Out Radio. We can do Michigan UFO Sightings, so because you got to have so many subscribers to be able to change the title of your URL. So, yeah, people help us out and subscribe to that YouTube channel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh. All right, just save.
Yeah, and sub to it as well. I mean, I upload things as much as I can there as well. So,
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
You subbed? Okay, perfect. Yes.
There we go. Yeah, so make sure you guys put the 29th on your calendar.
29th of December?
Yeah, that'll be a Wednesday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wednesday, December 29th, UFO Roundtable on here.
Oh, sounds good.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's basically going to be a year in review of everything that's happened. I'm gonna bring in a few people to come on in and just kind of go over the year that was. So that way we can get it all together. We have about 45 seconds.
Okay.
Want to say a big thank you to Black Dragon, Cat Chaser, Todd, Willie, Skyhawk, and Surf Jer for the super chats tonight. Really do appreciate the love and support that we get from our wonderful listeners on a nightly basis. Thank you to everybody who's new, who's hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. We are here 7 days a week for your listening entertainment, and we really appreciate it. Don't forget, you can do your shopping by going to our website, spacedoutradio.com, and checking out our swag that we got there. So make sure you check it on out, and here we go, everyone. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot, reading Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight talking Weird Michigan with Wayne and Michelle Braden. There are a couple of school teachers who delve into the woo at night. How good is that? Yes. They are woo lovers, woo-mancers, we'll call them. Official woo-mancers. And we're continuing on. Dogman, Bigfoot, lake monsters. Lots of cryptid sightings going on in the Michigan area. Start off with Kaiju's question. What kind of lake monsters have you heard been reported?
From my personal experience, I haven't heard of any, which is odd considering our lakes. And I know there's like Champ, the lake monster and things like that, but I can't say that I've had anything come through our podcast email or our group talking about any kind of a cryptid in the water of Lake Michigan.
No, but we would gladly accept stories to talk about.
Absolutely. That would be interesting to research. Yeah.
All right, let's get right into Bigfoot and Dogman. I mean, right next to Wisconsin, where the Beast of Bray Road was found and reported on, publicly for the first time in 1989. But we believe that creature has been around for a long time. And now people right across North America are having run-ins with this elusive 7 to 8 foot creature. How did you guys first learn about Dogman, Michelle?
About Dogman, just stories told, throughout like my childhood. And then it was when we started looking into the Adawa tribe up around northern Michigan that we started to learn more information about Dogman and the sightings there.
Yeah, one of our very first episodes we ever did was our episode 3, and it was Cry Havoc and Let Loose the Dogman of War. And then I get an email from this guy named Burton who said he listened to the podcast and said he had an experience. Come to find out, he's got his own podcast talking about heavy metal, and we found out that him and I had all these strange synchronicities. And so, we did just a cursory as one of our very first episodes, trying to get our feet wet into this, looking into Dogman. And then things kind of started to spiral more toward cryptids. And then we actually had Eric Altman on our last episode.
Great guy.
Awesome. From Pennsylvania Bigfoot Society. And
Love him.
They were awesome. So
yeah, Eric Altman is one of those guys, man, where he is just, I can't speak highly enough of him.
Exactly.
25 years plus.
I know.
With the research.
And trained by Stan Gordon.
Yes.
And the one that, have you guys interviewed Stan Gordon yet?
No.
Oh, you want to get him on your podcast?
No.
You totally
we will try.
Tell him you're friends of ours.
Okay.
And that we recommended it, and that you've interviewed Eric Altman, and Stan will really, really come on. He is a nice man, very, very nice, intelligent dude who is so knowledgeable, from the Kecksburg crash site to all sorts of cryptids and everything. You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed. And he is a legend in the cryptid world.
Well, one thing I thought was interesting that Eric talked about is he thinks Dogman is a misidentification of a Bigfoot here, Bigfoot sightings here in Michigan. And what's interesting, if you go toward the upper peninsula of Michigan, you go into some of the upper cities, there's no indication about the Michigan Dogman, but you'll find statues of Bigfoot. So I don't know how that plays out, in the thing, if Dogman is an actual thing or if it's actually a Sasquatch or Bigfoot that's being misidentified, maybe a different subspecies of Bigfoot. So that's what we asked Eric, and one of the things we wanted to find out. But we do know about the Abdawa tribe that's up there, and they have a Dogman type of mythology embedded in their tribe. And we think that, well, one of my speculations was that the lumberjacks that were scared off in the late 1800s was probably seeing one of these creatures brought about by that tribe. So, it's hard to say.
I really don't know. I know there have been Dogman sightings here in BC. I personally heard of two of them. One way up north near the Alberta British Columbia border, like almost getting into the Yukon territory, and one in my area a few years ago from a couple of indigenous gentlemen who were elders in the community who were out hunting for black bear. And they came across two of them like 200 yards away from them. And they raised their rifle up to this thing because they thought it was a black bear on two legs. And the one looked at the other. One had it lined up with his scope, and he took his eyes off his scope, brought his rifle down, and said, "We need to go now. Those aren't bear." And they got the heck out of Dodge. And I kind of know the area where that happened, but Dogman scares me.
Yeah, it's
It scares me, guys. And I'm not afraid of Bigfoot, Sasquatch. If I saw a Sasquatch, I will jump out of my vehicle. Like when I go tomorrow night, and I am literally going to be jumping out of my vehicle if I see something. But Dogman, no way. This creature scares the daylights out of me.
I agree. And I see people talking about Dogman and Bigfoot, two totally different creatures. I don't doubt that at all. And Bigfoot seems to have a kind of like a kinship with us. They're more interested in scaring us off of their territory. They probably have some type of a higher intelligence, whereas Dogman to me just seems like more animalistic and territorial. And if you got into it with one, you probably wouldn't survive, kind of a thing. So
yeah, I mean, what do you think this thing is surviving on?
I'll go with, the forest and stuff are huge. I mean, there's so many things living and running around for food to eat in these forests that it's probably easy for them. And then when they die, we don't find their bodies because, well, they're decomposed and eaten themselves by other creatures that there's nothing left for us to find. And there's probably such a low population that the chances of us finding a dead Bigfoot or a Dogman, either one of those, is probably very few and far between.
Are there a lot of Dogman sightings in Michigan annually?
Not that we're aware
Not
of.
that we hear about in the lower part of the state.
Right. We're right by Detroit Metro Airport here. We're a very close suburb of Detroit. So we don't hear a lot about that here. Now, maybe upstate, but nothing's gotten down to us or through our Facebook group or through emails sent to us. So if there are, I mean, absolutely, we want people to send them to us, and we definitely take a look at that. Yeah.
Quickly here, Kaysen, thank you so much for the super chat tonight. Really do appreciate that. Any thoughts about black-eyed children?
Scared to death of the story behind the black-eyed children. So I know that we just recently had talked to one of our guests about, in fact, it was Christina Gomez that we had talked to about the black-eyed children and the story leading up to that. Have not come across that. Haven't talked to anyone yet who has experienced the black-eyed children. I saw in chat that someone said that they see black-eyed kids at hospitals. Yeah,
I think there's some type of omen or related to some type of from what I've researched, some type of a vampiric type of human, maybe a hybrid of some type that needs to have permission and asking to come into your house or into your vehicle, and then from then on it becomes to like an emotional vampire where they drain you or something along those lines. I'm not sure what they could be, but I know I would not want to experience black-eyed children. I'm a paranormal believer, and I would say that those are definitely real, and be on the lookout for those, and don't let them into your car, don't let them into your house. And they have very strange features too, from what I've seen. Besides the black eyes, it's they're usually like barefoot and wearing clothes that don't fit them correctly, and things like that, which gets me thinking about the abductions that happen, and then people talking about having these hybrid children, or children taken from them by the abduction, the aliens that have abducted. Oh my God, I can't talk now. Abducted them. So who's to say? I mean, all I know is that they seem like bad news, and I don't want to run into one of those.
No, not at all. Let's get to Ian's question here. Are there any reports with folks literally being attacked by dog men or shadow phenomena?
not that we've heard.
No.
Yeah, I've never heard of that. I've always heard that Dogman kind of gives a warning to people, almost like a telepathic warning that you better not pull the trigger, otherwise something bad is really going to happen.
Yeah. And I wonder too, is, looking at like Skinwalker Ranch and places like this where they've had, what they've said is like these creatures that come out of these portals. And, they describe them as almost like a werewolf type entity, and the Skinwalker. I'm wondering if these are not the same type of thing, that these dogmen are skinwalkers of some type, like an actual like lycanthrope, a werewolf type of a creature or something that might be happening. I find it fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah, they are totally fascinating. I just don't fully understand or comprehend this entire cryptid phenomena at times. I don't know whether if they're natural to hear, or they're unnatural, or they're supernatural. Michelle, where do you fall into that category?
It could be, anything as far as like, honestly, don't even know what to say about it. I don't know if it's, based off of one story from one person, and it's just continued to spiral from there. Do I believe that these creatures are out there and that people have seen them? Yes. I know that we had a chance to talk to one lady quite some time ago about the red giants of the Lake Tahoe area. So in what was it, California? On the California side.
Yeah. the whole giant idea as well. These red-haired, red-beard giants that live somewhere on the West Coast around Lake Tahoe area. And we ran into somebody here in Michigan that was from there. And, I would describe, she just came up to us because we were wearing Lake Tahoe t-shirts because we had just gotten back from our honeymoon at the time, or maybe it was our first wedding anniversary. I don't know. We go there for our wedding anniversary. And, she just kind of appeared out from between cars at a grocery store. And she was talking to us about, oh, do you like Lake Tahoe? Like, yeah, absolutely. It's gorgeous. Have you seen the giants? And I can only describe this woman as a very quote unquote hippie chick. She had crystals on. She was wearing a dress and, the hair tied back with braids in it and things. And it was just kind of weird how she appeared and began speaking to us about these red-haired giants that live in these caves, and they hide themselves away in the mountains. And she had seen them, and she knows all about them. And it was just, that was a strange experience to have happen at a grocery store. This was before any of this stuff. We even got close to thinking about anything like this. In our experience, it was just, wow, okay. But yeah.
Now, do either of you go out and investigate and research now? Like, are you going out in the forest looking for the creatures, or are you just sitting waiting for the reports to come in because they're topics to discuss?
More of the latter. We're so busy with our work right now. Maybe in the summer, and we had talked about maybe here in March going to where these triangles have been sighted around the south of Flint area, and maybe going up there and doing a little bit of our own research. But for me personally, we're so tied up for our jobs and kids and all of this stuff that it's hard for us to be active researchers. We like to have people come on and tell us their experiences and what they're actually able to research themselves.
Gotcha. Michelle, how about you? You want to get out in the field more?
I would love to get out in the field because that means I'm traveling. But of course that also means that we're looking at doing a lot of this research during the summertime, but it would definitely get us up north around the Petoskey area and around Traverse City, where there have been more and more sightings up around Traverse that have been reported to us as far as UFOs.
Right on. Right on. How about alien encounters? Are you getting a lot of alien encounters happening in that area, or abductions?
As far as stories from those who've experienced, yes, we have heard stories of, alien. We've had a couple stories about alien abductions, and time loss.
And one woman who became pregnant after the abduction and gave birth to a baby, and who would now be like about 19 or 20 years old, and apparently was a very the child was extremely intelligent, kind of a thing, one of these like a savant type of situation. And she was not pregnant before they were taken away in the triangle, and then became pregnant afterwards.
Well, it sounded like that she was having problems conceiving.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then after the experience,
she wrote a report 17 years or 18 years later on the MUFON page, and people can find her report. I can't remember her name right now, but she talks about being abducted. And I think it's 94. It was one of our guests had that experience with the triangle south of Flint, and she writes about it herself, and it was insane. Just, I don't know how else to explain it. It was amazing.
I couldn't imagine what that would be like.
It was bad enough when we saw our UFO, when we had that experience. I couldn't imagine being forcibly taken and, being a guinea pig for these, whatever they are. just seeing it was enough, and I knew to get out of there. And it was enough to get away. I didn't want any part of it. Now with all the research and all the people that we've talked to, if I saw something like that, now I'd be more prone to stop the vehicle.
I was going to say, pull over on the side of the road.
Yeah. But I will say, and I've had a couple of people ask me about this when we were driving. Why didn't you, try to take a picture or whatever? Well, first of all, I'm driving a vehicle, so I'm not going to have my cell phone, handy to take photos or start a video. And the last thing on my mind at that point was trying to get a photograph or a video while I'm driving, and I'm thinking, I'm going to have to get us out of here extremely fast and do some defensive driving. I don't know, because I don't know what this thing is. At first, I thought it was some type of aircraft crashing on the road, and because we're close to Metro Airport. Then after that, it was like, no, we are leaving. And Michelle, the same thing. The last thing that went through her mind was,
my phone was in my purse. My purse was on the floor, and it was more about just that shock and awe.
Yes. Seeing
something that size at that time of night when we've never seen anything like that before. So you're just stunned. It's that awe of being stunned by it and trying to examine it and not even thinking about a phone at the time. But it was like when we were talking earlier, I would take any lie detector test.
Absolutely.
To prove, as far as what we saw that night.
How long did it affect you for? Does it still affect you, Michelle?
Yes.
And how long ago was this again?
March 9th of 2018. So we're almost going on 4 years, because when I try to recount the story and tell the story to someone who hasn't seen it, unless someone has experienced it or has done any sort of research, has looked into any sort of story about UFOs, there's a disconnect. And so there is that feeling of being very alone in the conversation.
Oh, I know what that's like.
Yeah.
I know what that's like.
But then starting this podcast was also, to help other people, along with like our Facebook group, was to try to help people, at least give them an outlet and let them get things off their chest about their experience. And it helped us because, I've always been under the impression that these people should be heard and not ridiculed and not dismissed, whatever it is that happened. And, sometimes you have to deal with that in social media with the keyboard warrior type of mentality where they're going to get on there and try to make people feel like crap. And it's like,
oh, we know who all of them are. Trust me.
Yeah. Yeah. So
it's amazing people still support them. Seriously.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, everybody has their own, and it's to each their own with everybody out there. I mean, that's the ugly side of the community. That actually brings up a good question. Like, how are you guys kind of, being relatively new to the community? I mean, you want to get your feet wet. You want to, get to know a lot of people in that field. How do you guys kind of refrain from dealing with some of these people in the UFO community, especially who are very toxic?
Well, fortunately, I can say, and Michelle, back me up on this, we haven't ran into any of those people, coming on to our show or wanting to be on our show or sending us any emails like that. So far, it's been pretty positive, except for the few keyboard warriors. And to their defense, I'm going to say this. It is a very scary proposition to know that humans on this planet may not be the dominant thing on this planet anymore.
Hold that thought. We'll be back with Wayne and Michelle Braden when we return here on Spaced Out Radio, Weird Michigan. Another half an hour on the show. We'll be back. Guys, I'm going to let you chat away with our audience here. I just have to go get some aspirin here. I've been having real pains in my wrist and arm lately, so I'm waiting to go to my massage therapist this week. So I'm just going to go get some anti-inflammatories here. I'll be right back.
Sounds good.
We got 5 minutes.
All right. Spooky Morales, Wayne's a boss.
The giant steps. I don't even want to try to stay.
The giant steps at. Oh yeah, down in Peru. Ollantaytambo. Any opinions? The megalithic structures down there are amazing. We're actually hoping to go down there with Brian Forrester, who we've had on our show. And go visit those
hidden Inca tours.
Yes, yeah. So, man, I definitely want to go see all that stuff down there, especially the elongated skulls. Very fascinated by those.
Peru and Bolivia.
Yes. And of course, with certain things going on virus wise and things like that, it's hard to get into Bolivia. And so we're just waiting, being patient. So yeah. Brian Forrester. Yeah. He's a great human being. Just absolutely a gem of a person to talk to. We can check out Suspicious Observer. Okay. Suspicious Observer.
Am I taking notes again?
Yes, you are.
I am taking notes.
I will definitely check it out. And I might have checked it out before. And what is the best way to get a hold of you about my incident? Do not have Facebook. Nicola, send us an email at mi.ufo.podcast@gmail.com. That's the best way to get a hold of us. And if you download any of our podcasts, go into the show notes. There's a link right to that email in our show notes. So, yeah. Yes, the elongated skulls are found many places. But what's interesting, Julie, is that the elongated skulls and the red hair, and I found that very interesting. And they traced them back genetically to somewhere around, I want to say the Black Sea area.
Yes, it was the Black Sea.
Right? Yeah. The Paracas, the people of Paracas. Yeah. Wayne, do you guys have an opinion about the Phoenix Lights? I never thought about it before. I figured it was just aircraft, military aircraft doing, drills with, deflecting heat-seeking missiles. They drop flares and things like that. And when I was in the infantry, we would shoot up flares to illuminate areas so we could see in the dark. Now everybody uses the infrared, night vision type of thing. But now I think 100% that was just a gigantic flying triangle, or at least a wing. It depends on which drawing you see and whose was the eyewitness account. But yeah, I think that's 100% real. So that's my opinion on the Phoenix Lights. Too many people saw it to be making something up.
Do you think the triangle you witnessed was extraterrestrial or government? Good question. I know the direction that it was traveling. It was actually going towards a small airport in the Ypsilanti area.
Yeah, but it was probably as big as that airport.
It was probably, and there's a small airport in Canton on Sheldon Road for small aircraft, and what we saw was about the size of that airport.
Yeah.
So
this thing was like the size of a Walmart. I mean, honestly, if I had to describe it size-wise. So.
Yeah, Chad, Willow Run.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're close to Willow Run.
That was the direction that it was flying at, or that it was traveling.
But then it disappeared. So, yeah.
Have we heard of any underwater UFOs? Not around this area.
Yeah. But there has been a lot of activity, and it was documented in 1994. There was a big UFO flap over Lake Michigan, And my guess is that now that the government is saying that there are these USOs, and we are seeing these transmedium UFOs that are coming from outer space on radar, and then they land and or hover above the sea, and then they dip into the sea, and then they disappear. And then now there's reports of sonar activity where they've picked them up doing a couple 100 miles an hour under the water and then disappearing. Absolutely. The oceans are so big and so deep. Man, I just, thanks, Big Willie. They've got to be down in the ocean as well. I don't see any, and probably the Great Lakes at this point, considering especially Superior, how deep that lake is. I mean, it's ridiculous. So, yeah, definitely.
I agree with Chad that something weird is going on with Willow Run. Number one, you never hear about it unless it's being used for an air show.
Yeah.
We got 30 seconds here, guys.
All right.
Thank you to all the super chatters out there. Really appreciate it.
How far is Houghton Lake from here? 3.5 hours?
Yeah.
Yeah, about 3.5 hours from Houghton Lake.
All right, guys, hold on 2 seconds here. We're going to come back here momentarily.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read up on Shirky Poo's Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on for the final time tonight. Wayne and Michelle Braden are here. Weird Michigan. That is what we are talking about tonight. Welcome back, guys. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for having us back.
Going back to the triangle that you guys saw, and then going into the idea that, you know, we don't know what is ours, what is theirs, where they're parking it. I mean, these craft, if they are ours, these triangles, these TR3Bs or whatever people are calling them these days, where do you think they're parking these big craft if they're ours?
That's a good question.
I don't think they are. I don't think they're ours. I don't. I think there might be some reversed engineered stuff because Lou Elizondo hinted to what's his name on Fox News, Tucker Carlson, about this creation of a permanent office for the examination of UAPs. And one of the things that he talked about, and I have it here in my notes, it says that in this report now that they're spending this money on for every year, it requires any recovered UAP material to be reported to Congress and report any adverse medical effects by our pilots that came into close proximity with these UAPs. If that doesn't scream that there's something going on and they have some materials and they've probably been working on it, you know, Bob Lazar kind of S4 type of a situation. There might be some of ours. Okay, fine. They'll hide those into hangars and at night or whatever the case may be. But a triangle this size and I saw somebody talk about a mothership. I don't think those are ours. And I don't think any of those things that we are backwards engineering have that ability to just disappear. But that's speculation on my point. But my thoughts on it is that these larger craft and the Tic Tacs and things like that are not ours.
Where do you think they're coming from? Do you think the government knows?
Yes. I think they know. I mean, where they're coming from, I don't know. And who knows what kind of technology could be out there that surpasses us at this point. I could only speculate. I would think maybe some type of an interdimensional, maybe these things are crossing certain barriers and from different dimensions or alternate realities or different timelines, or they're time travelers and they happen to find us when we started setting off nuclear bombs, or they've been here way before that. So right now, my opinion on that is kind of all over the place, and I don't know what Michelle's opinion might be on that, but.
Well, and that's the whole reason why I said what I said that night, as far as like when our military got that, because I had never experienced anything like it before. But the deeper that you dig and you start hearing everyone else's stories, and as large as this craft was, we don't know. I can only assume that it's, not something from the U.S. government, but yes, I mean, they have to know about it with all the reportings. We had looked even into the flight schedule for that night, and there was nothing listed.
Yeah, I even have an app on my phone that shows me all the aircraft flying out of the airports. Anything that goes in the air has to be reported, and there was nothing there. So, and nothing was flying that night. So, yeah.
Nothing that was documented.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, it's set us on a path of amazing discoveries, man. It just being 51 years old and going on this new path and learning this new ufology and cryptids and how all these things seem to start to become related. And like you were talking about with Bigfoot, one other thing I brought up with Eric was, talking about Bigfoot being this interdimensional creature, because you can follow the footprints, 1, 2, 3 steps, and then they seem to disappear. And there's nothing else around them. Are they able to have this superhuman strength that they can jump so far, or are they some type of a paranormal type of creature that they can do these teleportations or whatever to leave an area? So why not?
Well,
right, exactly.
You know what? I don't know about you guys, but I get really, really angry when I hear politicians or even Lou Elizondo or somebody like that say, we don't know where these are coming from. We don't know much about them. You've had 75 years to study these. You know more about what we're going through than anybody. And you're playing dumb. And the narrative of the government of the United States, especially in this case, playing dumb on this subject, I don't like it. It's not attractive.
Yeah, it's not very becoming, and it's not very believable. I just, me personally, I don't buy it. And hats off to them. Okay, on their defense, hey, we got to worry about national defense, and they probably don't want to panic people to let the world know that our airspace is a playground for these things. But airline pilots reporting things, it seems like every time you turn around, there's some type of a rod type of ship or a fast moving tic tac or something going close to, commercial aircraft. More and more pilots are starting to come out now because they, are not worried about being fired anymore about what they're seeing. So while the government's saying one thing, the veil of the hush-hushness of what people have seen is slowly being removed. And so it's starting to make the government at this point look bad. But then we've also known that for the last 70 some years, they've been covering things up. So they've got a lot of explaining to do.
No, I totally agree with you. But, I mean, this is where I've been trying to steer our audience over the last while, is about the narrative on everything. There is a narrative. It is in full play right now, and it is to make us look as stupid as possible. Because the last thing the U.S. government wants is that UFO Pandora's box to open up. They don't want to admit that they may have had communications with ETs, or that they have bodies from crash retrievals or anything along those lines. That would blow the roof off of the United States people.
And the world.
True enough.
And we have those materials. So I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's I don't know what their reasoning is behind it, but it almost makes me wonder, because elected officials are just mouthpieces. Honestly, they're the front of the government, and there's the professionals that are within the government and working with defense contractors and things like that have been around for, 80 years, and they've got their own vested interest in the, what was it called? The military industrial complex, right? They're the ones that are underground handling all of this stuff. And the politicians are just, as one person put it, a temporary employee. They don't have a need to know this thing, because next year during the election, they might be gone. Why would you want to give somebody secrets like to a temporary employee who then would go somewhere and talk about these things? So, the politicians are one thing, but who's really running the things is your skunk works and your military contractors, in my opinion. So,
well, and look at it this way: before people turn to social media and the radio and the podcasts that have just boomed, look at what the movie industry has always done for any sort of like alien movies. They've always depicted the person who was abducted or saw a UFO as, the person who lives in a trailer park wearing a wife beater and holding a beer. So not, the strongest case to build upon. And that's what we had for years before. I don't know. It's been like the boom of the last 2-3 years that I've noticed that more people are talking about it. The boom with the podcasts, even ours.
Well, even the report from the government.
Well, and it's taken that stigma, and the fact that the report did come out, even though 3 pages of it was a table of contents, and then the other 6 pages saying, 140 something sightings. One was the balloon, the other ones we don't know what it is. And like you said, 75 years of reports, I guarantee, they need to definitely add up their numbers. But, how much reporting was actually done and how much of it was, let's just shoo this under the carpet.
Well, and then their explanation is, they're trying to look at these sensor logs and data, things that they can actually dive into with real data instead of the anecdotal story thing. But then again, what constitutes as evidence at that point? So, they're cutting it off at like 2014 with the Nimitz encounter, I believe, or 2007 is where they kind of start their investigations. Guys, you got to go back. You got to go back again. Go back through Project Blue Book. You got to go through the Majestic lines, all of this stuff that, I'm learning about and see what's really going on. And it seems like there are factions within the government that are at odds with each other, and who can know what. And if they go to talk, your job and pension and everything will be threatened. And and that's not even the politician level. This is down deep. I guess you would consider it like the shadow government or something like that. That's above my pay grade, I guess I could say.
We have about 9 minutes here to go. And
All right.
and man, this show is flying on by. I have a question here coming from owner here who is asking, great show tonight. Thanks, Dave. Question, what do Wayne and Michelle think about the triangular UFOs reported in Belgium during 1989-1990? The incident known as the Belgian UFO wave. Do you think they're ours?
I don't think so. I think these are more of those same craft. However, I noticed that they were a different craft. Like the craft that we saw did not have the large center glowing light between the angles, the 3 points where the recessed orbs were. The one that we saw did not have that in the middle. And the ones that were reported in Belgium, from what I understand, in 89 and 90, they all had that, and I believe there is some pictures that exist of the craft, even though it's kind of distorted and stuff. But you can tell that there is a center part to that triangle that's illuminated, and I think there's many different craft, which then make me think: is there different types of species here with these craft? And you hear talk of reptilians and things like that, but at this point, I'm not discounting anything, but I think from what I've read on those, I think they're part of the same type of phenomenon that's going on. And I don't know if I can get behind the fact that these craft and Tic Tac and the cigar shapes and the saucers are some type of an ancient, like whatever it is, it's our minds making sense of these things that have been here forever, and they kind of change shape with the technology and where our societies are. I think Jacques Vallée was talking about how these things kind of morph into whatever the present time sees as these things, and I don't think it's that at all.
Question coming from Cat the Kit. What do you think of Bob Lazar then?
Hard to say. I mean, I know somebody asked us earlier if we ever went up to his place here in Michigan, and we have not. Bob Lazar, man, you talk
or
about
not yet.
right, but you talk about a hot button issue right there. There are like people that absolutely love the guy and believe everything he says. And then there's people that are like, he's full of crap. And if you believe things that he says, then you're not a good researcher, or, I honestly don't know. So many things though that he has said that he was around while he was at S4 seem to be true. So, from the hand scanner and things like that. So why would he make these kind of things up? And then, also add on UFOs to that. Why would he make one part up and the other part, it doesn't make sense to me. And I don't think he's ever really gotten anything out of it other than a lot of attention, which, for some people can be, worth a lot, I guess. So.
No, definitely.
Yeah.
I see where you're going with that. And in regards to it, Bob Lazar, I'm on the side that he is telling the truth. Yes, he has been involved with, been in trouble with the law afterwards. Okay. I love it when people say, well, the guy was busted for pimping. No, he wasn't busted for pimping. He was busted for doing the electronics and putting the surveillance cameras up and the security system up in the place. That's what he was busted for. I mean, the rumor mongering when it comes to his story is phenomenal. But as a former media member, I always state this. KLAX Television, who George Knapp has worked for 40 years, has never retracted the story. All right. Now, people who know nothing about the media will say, oh, well, the media is bought and George Knapp is bought and everything like that. No, that's not how it works. And before that story ever ran, they would have got permission from the lawyer. That's how big this story is. and the story has never been retracted. All right, let's get to another question here, as we only got 4.5 minutes. Davy Jones is asking, what do you think alien implants are all about?
Tracking. Plain and simple. Just like we would track a cow in the wilderness, make sure they stay on the pasture, and we want to know where they're going, or we tag fish, to follow migration patterns, sharks, wild animals, to follow them. I think it's the same for humans. We had Terry Lovelace on as one of our, I think it was our 6th episode, and he told us his story, and oh my God, and that was a triangular craft that him and his friend Toby were abducted by, and he's got the evidence of the implants in his leg that were x-rayed, and 100% I think it's some type of tracking device where they can pick up on these things and they know where you're at, so that they can come and get you again if they would like. But that's my opinion.
How would you as a scientist like to actually study an alien implant?
Oh, please. Somebody give me one. I mean, the pattern that he had in his leg with wires coming out of it, that, they were like, well, how'd that get into, where's the scar of the injection spot, or where your leg was cut, or someplace cut on your body where this foreign object may have migrated down into your leg. He's like, I've never had that happen before. So and honestly, I think it's some type of a tracking device.
How about you, Michelle?
The same. So same belief. If the time was taken to put an implant in, there is a reason behind it, and it's got to be to track us.
And if you think about it with Terry Lovelace, I mean, he was an Air Force guy, and he was, on these bases with nuclear craft. What better type of a person to track and know their whereabouts is somebody who is around nuclear missiles on nuclear, and Air Force bases. So.
Well, I like Thin Lizzie's comment here. She says, my husband still has one in his arm. One in his nose was taken out and swiftly removed from a doctor. They wouldn't let him see it after either.
Wow. Yeah.
That's scary.
Yep. That is scary. And 100% I believe that. Absolutely. I mean, I saw somebody else say, Terry Lovelace is legit. I 100% agree. And think about the courage and things that it takes, especially at that time, to come forward and say that you've been abducted by aliens in the late 70s, and then, have these things in your body and actually have evidence, legit evidence of these foreign objects in your body, and then continuing experiences with these craft, whatever they are.
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's something to be said about that.
All right. We got 1 minute left, guys. Thank you so much. And I apologize for the technical issues at the beginning of the show, but let everybody know your podcast and your YouTube channel.
All right. Well, the best thing for our YouTube channel is, if you want to find us on YouTube, just go into the search field and type in Michigan UFO Sightings and Paranormal Encounters Podcast. That'll get you right to our YouTube channel until we get enough subscribers to where we can change the name and it shows up much more readily in the search algorithm.
Yeah, YouTube hasn't been our platform. We've been, on all of the other major podcast channels, Spotify, iTunes, Anchor, Breaker.
Yeah, we're even on platforms that I didn't know about. I just happened to do a Google search one day, and boy, we're on all kinds of places.
Amazon.
Yep.
We've got the Facebook
in Spain
group
now too.
Yeah,
Perfect.
we've got the Facebook group as well, where a lot of our stories come in, a lot of communication
And merchandise.
and
All right. I got to let you go right there. The fedora-wearing John Hudson is next on Spaced Out Radio with the Unbiased UFO Report. We'll be back. Great job, guys. Good job tonight.
Oh, thank you.
I wholeheartedly apologize for.
And I normally talk more. It's 2:30 in the morning after teaching middle schoolers all week.
I hear you. You did great, though. You did great. Thank you. We're going to do this again. I will get you back on for December 29th for the UFO show. And I'm going to bring in a bunch of podcasters, and we'll kind of go over the year that was in ufology, and I'd like you guys to be a part of that. It'll open
Awesome.
you guys up to some
That's
people,
awesome,
too.
and we're on Christmas break. So.
Yep.
Yeah, perfect.
We would love to.
Perfect. All right, guys. Take care.
All right. Thank you.
Have a great night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. There we go. Good show there. Now, I haven't got anything from John yet. I hope he didn't fall asleep with his daughter. We'll soon see. We will soon see. Does he show up? Does he not? We don't know. Let the mystery continue. Let's see here. What to do, what to do. Ouch. Thanks, Big Willie. We ran a third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you miss portions of this show and others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read Shirky Poo's Newswire. You can check out our swag as well. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram, Spaced Out Radio Show, and we got a brand new TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. We haven't posted any videos yet, but soon it will be that time. Oh, yes, it'll be soon. Get your questions ready. All right, I know we're doing this at the wrong time, but hey, sometimes you got to change on the fly. That's what hockey is all about. This show, no different. We're going to go to the Magic 8 Ball tonight, where we are going to ask your questions and see what kind of psychic ability the Magic 8 Ball will have. So let's see what we can do. We'll wait for the audience questions to come on up. But for me, I am wondering what is going on. So you can hear me mixing it up. All right, let's get right to it. What is going on, Magic 8 Ball? Are you ready to perform tonight? I know it's an off night, but let's see. Are you ready? And the answer is, Intel looks good. All right, we got the Magic 8 Ball on the line here. Let's start off with Mennonite Abe, who is asking, Magic 8 Ball, is Luis Elizondo full of crap? Yes and beyond. Now, I don't agree with that answer. I really don't. But nonetheless, that's what the Magic 8 Ball says, so we're going to go with that. All right, let's see here. What else do we have? Lester is wondering, will Yellowstone blow up next year? Magic 8 Ball, what do you think? Signs point to yes. Another one I don't agree with, but you know what? You never know. I have to keep track of this. Mysterion. Are there aliens on the moon, Magic 8 Ball? In hypersleep. Doesn't want to answer that question. I always think that when he gives me the in hypersleep answer, that really it's an answer for I don't want to get in trouble. Not me, the Magic 8 Ball. It's that dangerous, people. Desert Clam, caps or toques? Positive for caps, negative for toques. In hypersleep again. Doesn't want to get in trouble. Doesn't want to piss off the Canadian or the American audience. Race fan. Will Dave get to leave Canada for the Vegas party? Who knows? All clear. Dave's good to go. Yes. April. End of April, people. All right. Luscious Jules. Am I going to get unexpected money this month? You're not going to like this. My sources say no, Jules. Zero Cool. Will NASA's Bill Nelson find them aliens? In hypersleep. That's 3 controversial questions that he hasn't wanted to answer. You notice that? Big Willie. Will I win my fantasy football games this weekend? It is decidedly so. Pick well, Willie. Pick well. Marie. Will I be lucky in Vegas this weekend? Thank you for the invite, Marie. Gambling, people, gambling. Should I play with dollars? Of course you should. Put it all on black, Marie. Magic 8 Ball says, don't count on it. You're going broke. Don't listen to me. Be cautious. Maybe $1. No more than $2. Ride the lightning from there. Simon, will I ever stop overdoing things that I should not do and not doing things I should? Signs point to yes. Luscious Jules. Is Galileo, or the Galileo Project put together by Avi Loeb of Harvard, a glorified SETI? Thank you, Jules, for rational questions there. Censors read no. It's because they got Lou and Chris now. We'll put this one. Harold, Dave, you are a professional, but I'm going to say, Dave, you are a professional? In hypersleep. See? Doesn't want to answer it. Matthew, Quiet Riot. Is Hal Puthoff a remote viewing mummy? It's the prince of the program, man. All clear. Yep, Hal's good. Hal loves his remote viewing. Let's go to Humberto Caldera. How you doing? Are the aliens trying to give us a message through their manifestations in the sky, Magic 8 Ball? Let's see here. My sources say no. I think that's what anal probing is for. I don't know. Could be. Let's see. Amy, I hate it when Dave looks angry or nervous when things don't and air don't pan out. Yeah, I know. We'll figure it out, though. There's always a plan. Just gotta unlock the brain there for a second. Let's go here. Owner wants to know, are we going to encounter mass UFO sightings? Is that the reason behind the rush in disclosure? All clear. The aliens are coming. No, Dave, they're not aliens. They're ETs. No, they're aliens. Anyways, that's just me. Trying to have some fun here. All right, Jenny, will Ohio... It's not Ohio State. Will the Ohio State beat Michigan again? Of course they will. They're going to clobber Michigan. Signs point to yes. The Ohio State Buckeyes are going to literally trounce the Michigan Wolverines. Put your money on the Ohio State. Spooky Morales, Magic 8 Ball. Does UFO Twitter have a clue? My sources say no. And for those on UFO Twitter, let's see if I can get this up there. Let's see if I can get this up there without it getting... there it is. Oh, don't leave. Do not leave. Anyways, you saw it. You could hit pause. It showed up. Acreon, have the scientists finally found Planet 9? Yes, it's Pluto. Don't listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's an egomaniac. Signs point to yes, because it's Pluto. Give Pluto back its status, man. Didn't do anything wrong to you, Neil. Thin Lizzy. Do the children of the corn play cornhole? Intel looks good. Lester. Will we get absolutely proof of Bigfoot soon? Signs point to yes. I don't know when, but one day we'll bag them. We'll bag them. put some handcuffs on him, throw him in the back of a patrol car, say, come with us, you're under arrest, Mr. Sasquatch. What'd I do? Evasion. Tax evasion. Kronos, what do you expect from Max's podcast? Who's Max? Don't count on it. I don't even know who Max is. Max Hawthorne? I don't know. Nikki, Magic 8 Ball, will the U.S. government ever come out with a prize disclosure people are hoping for? Nikki, you know better than to ask such a question. That'll never happen. The answer is... Come on. Got all these bubbles in here. You have my pity, Nikki. You have my pity. Big Willie, will SOR have 10,000 subscribers in the next 2 years or less? My 2 cents, yes. Well, we've already passed 10,000, so I'm going to say probably thinking 100,000 subscribers. That'd be nice. Not today, Sheriff. Well, we know it's not going to happen today. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. Mondak, what hurts worse? An anal probe from aliens or being shot by a taser? Aliens or taser? What does this say? I've got so many bubbles in here right now from shaking it up. Out of fuel, try again later. Oh, the Magic 8 Ball is starting to wind down. Here it comes. 0. Should the U.S. start using Magic 8 Ball to decide when to go to war? Reply hazy, try again. Doesn't want to answer that one. Nope, does not want to answer that one. And I don't blame it. Doesn't need to get blown out of proportion like its cousin, the Ouija board. Amy. Ha ha, Dave said anal probing. Yep. It's right up there. It's right up the kazoo there. All right. Marie, will Sting play some of our favorite Police songs in concert in Vegas? Let's see here. The answer is... Don't count on it. Yeah, right. Of course he's going to. That was a sarcastic answer. I could feel the energy off of it, Marie. I hope he plays Desert Rose. It's my favorite song by Sting. I know it came out 2008 or something like that. Still a damn good song. Well, here's the impossible question from GFGFGFGFG. Will the Toronto Maple Leafs win the Stanley Cup this year? That's funny. That's funny. High sarcasm from the Magic 8 Ball. Yeah, your intel looks good, GFG. Go put your seats on Yonge Street right now. Reserve your spot for the Stanley Cup parade after you get knocked out in the first round again. 67, my friend. 1967. I can't think of a name. Are we in the end times? Levels are positive. We're heading for the crash. Nice. We're in the end times, according to the Magic 8 Ball. Davy Jones, is the deep state going to put stuff in our weed? All clear. The weed is all clear. Let's see, what else do we got here? Cat the Kit. Does a woodchuck actually chuck wood? Out of fuel, try again later. In other words, nope. No, it doesn't. Matthew. Will Dave Scott make me a magical human alien test tube hybrid with a killer beard? How would I go about doing that? Batteries are low. We're winding down. All right. Let's see here. What else do we have here? Hold on. There we go. Let's see here. I think we got time for one or two more. No, I guess we don't. All right. Well, on that note, let's get to Shirky Poo's news, shall we? Thank you, Magic 8 Ball, for an enticing and enchanting psychic reading from your ever professional knowledge of the consciousness. Let's go to Shirky Poo's news as she gets us all ready on the wire here. So get this. How many of you caught SpaceX's latest launch with astronauts? Well, it was another capsule of 4 astronauts heading into the International Space Station on Thursday. While the mission went smoothly, the crew did report something strange, a mysterious object floating past their craft as they approached the station. We saw an object that looked like a gnarled blob or gnarled knob, although it's difficult to tell with distance in our centerline camera view from left to lower right. From our view, Crew Dragon's pilot Tom Marshburn has said, it's not visible anymore. It could have been a small nut. The crew reported seeing an object pass to the center line. Could it be a nut? Who knows? Mission Control told the crew that the knob was likely harmless and the rest of the flight proceeded smoothly. The capsule docked at the International Space Station shortly after, approximately 263 miles above the Caribbean. There's still no indication yet of what the object actually was, though it is very likely it was a piece of space debris flying past. After all, Earth's orbit is filled with junk from decades of international space travel. And there's so much, in fact, that NASA Chief Bill Nelson slammed those who have contributed to the issue over the summer, saying it's dangerous and shameful for anybody, including the U.S., that has allowed space debris to be up there. Still, we're not going to rule out aliens just yet, because, people, it is always aliens. Always. Here's a tragic story. A wealthy tech mogul who traveled to space last month with William Shatner has been killed, along with another person, when a small plane crashed in northern New Jersey. 49-year-old Glenn DeVries of New York City and Thomas Fisher, 54, of Hopatcong, hope I got that right, Hopatcong, New Jersey, were boarding a single-engine Cessna 172 that went down in a wooded area in the Hampton Township. DeVries founded Metadata Solutions, a tech company, and was a trustee at Carnegie Mellon University. He traveled on October 13th on Blue Origin's New Shepard spacecraft, spending more than 10 minutes in space after launching, along with Shatner and others. In a statement, Blue Origin said, "We are devastated to hear of the sudden passing of Glenn DeVries. He brought so much life and energy to the entire Blue Origin team, as well as $500,000. Yep. So, anyways, and to his fellow crewmates as well, we feel bad. His passion for aviation, his charitable work, and dedication to his craft will be long revered and admired." Fisher, owner of Fisher Aviation, a family-run flight school, and its head instructor, according to public reports, the National Transportation Safety Board is investigating the crash. Moving on. As a tour bus driver at Yellowstone National Park all summer, Randall Champion saw his fair share of tourists acting stupid by disregarding park guidelines on viewing wildlife from a safe distance. The latest example was a man who thought it would be a good idea to film a scene unfolding in front of a hotel at the Mammoth Hot Springs, where 3 bull elk were competing for the same group of females grazing on the lawn. Everyone's attention was on this bull, and he and another bull were bugling each other, Champion explained. "I saw this idiot walk out onto the lawn to film the bull without realizing he was now between the bull and the cows. Oh, that's never good. You can see the bull turns his head, back, sees the idiot, slowly starts lowering his head and moving towards him. The guy just keeps filming. The buck picks up speed, and now everyone is seeing what's about to happen, except the moron. They start yelling at him, and at the last instance, he realizes he's in big trouble, and in a panic tries to run, but can't coordinate his limbs, and down he goes. He scrambles up and almost gets hit by a car. As he hurried across the road, he's seen laughing. I think it's a nervous laugh because everyone is yelling at him and how stupid he is, and he's embarrassed when he realizes they are right. Oh my goodness, some people. When are people going to learn that wild animals are not very good to deal with? Just like this lady at the Bronx Zoo in New York, she decided to climb over a barrier near the lion exhibit so she could tell the king, "I love you. I came back for you." This is the second time in 2 years that a woman has gotten close to the exhibit. Fortunately, she was not injured. Thank you to everybody playing along on the Magic 8 Ball. Thank you to Shirky Poo for the news, and Wayne and Michelle Braden for coming on in, hanging on out with us to talk about all the weird woo that seems to be happening around the beautiful state of Michigan. Dogman, Bigfoot, UFOs. They got some aliens over there. It's not aliens, Dave. It's ETs. Sorry, Demi. I want to say a big thank you to everyone for tuning in as well. Let's wrap this thing up, shall we? We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight on YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends,
Make a mistake. We're watching.
we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home.
I know you're out there somewhere watching me.
Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.